Part 7. My happiest hope is gone. Since that day, Lin Qijun has really kept his promise. As long as he can spare time, he will come to Nian's house to accompany Xuan Huaifeng. The two are in love with each other. Every time they meet, they feel full of words to talk about. They can't help but want to do other intimate things. It's a shame that they are in a New Year's house. I was afraid that Zhang Mama would push the door and come in, but she was full of longing and had no idea what to do. Only in this way. It makes them feel that their love is getting hotter every day. Even Zhang Mama often wonders, then, young Master Lin really cares about the young master. He always comes here every day. I heard that he is still in charge of the family's business. Why does he seem to be free? That day, Lin Qijun came to see Xuan Huaifeng again. Xuan Huaifeng was in good health. When he saw Lin Qijun coming, he lifted the quilt and jumped out of bed and said, "I have to go out and walk around no matter what today. I'm almost suffocated." As he spoke, he took out his coat. Changing behind the screen, Lin Qijun came over to look around. Xuan Huaifeng heard his footsteps, threw the changed pajamas on his head, and pretended to stare at him to threaten him. "I'm changing clothes, what are you doing here?" Lin Qijun said. "Come and see, look, won't you agree?" Xuan Huaifeng wanted to pretend to be sullen. But he couldn't help turning the corners of his mouth upwards, and even his dimples appeared when he smiled. After all, he was a little shy. Turned around and put on his shirt with his back to Lin Qijun. Lin Qijun looked at his bare back. The curves were as smooth as a fairy spring in the sky, and there was no flaw at all. He was suddenly confused, and was about to take a step forward and take off the shirt he just put on when Zhang Mama's voice suddenly came from outside the window. It came over, "Little master. The doctor said that you can eat some greasy dishes. Tonight, Zhang Mama will cook for you taro and pork, okay?" Both of them were suddenly taken aback. Lin Qijun immediately retreated to the corner of the room. Xuan Huaifeng put on his shirt, ran to the window and said, "Don't cook it, I'm going out today. I won't be back for dinner." Zhang Mama shouted, "That's not good, you've only been sick for a few days, and you started to run outside. You only got sick when you were running outside." Xuan Huaifeng would not listen to her nagging. Pulling Lin Qijun, and smooshed away, he ran out of the room, reached the gate, and said to the concierge, "When my sister comes back, tell her, I'm going out with my classmates today, and I won't be back for dinner tonight." He got into Lin Qijun's car, patted the leather seat cushion and said, quickly, Go, I'm suffocating. Go out to the countryside and want some fresh air. Happy like a child." Lin Qijun instructed the chauffeur to drive to the suburbs. This season is a good time for outings. The grass shoots have grown out, and the green and fluffy stretches are endless. And even the air is filled with the fragrance of tender grass. Lin Qijun asked the chauffeur to buy something to eat and drink. And the two of them picked a piece of grass to sit down and bask in the sun comfortably. Lin Qijun asked, "Why haven't you seen your sister for a while?" Xuan Huaifeng said, "She's busy. She has to buy new furniture, new jewelry, and prepare to hold a reception at home. I think in 2 days, it will probably plan to change the house." In fact, he also felt strange. I thought that Bai Xuelan would play tricks on his brother-in-law's position as director. Who knew that after so many days, the official document had not changed at all? And Nian Liangfu was still the director of the Customs Inspection Office. Last week, Nian Liangfu officially took office and reported to the inspection office. For this reason, Xuan Dian has been very busy recently, so she held a banquet, not only to celebrate, but also to thank all the friends who supported her relation. As for the young and rich, they rarely stay at home, but now they go out to socialize almost every night. Lin Qijun asked. I heard that your brother-in-law was able to become the director. And it was Xuelan who helped you? Xuan Huaifeng's mood suddenly dropped. Why do you always mention this person? Lin Qijun said, we all know Bai Xuelan. Just mention it. Why can't you mention it? I don't understand, why did he become your taboo? Xuan Huaifeng didn't want to answer him, and threw an orange in his hand on the grass. Lie down by yourself and look up at the blue sky and white clouds in fascination. Lin Qijun couldn't help but go over, put him lightly on him, and asked in his ear, what are you thinking? Lying like this, my heart is beating. Xuan Huaifeng lay on his back, pretending to close his eyes and resting. His demeanor is extremely beautiful, there is an indescribable moving, every pore is beautiful. Lin Qijun asked in a low voice, can I kiss you? Xuan Huaifeng still looked like he closed his eyes, but the corners of his mouth slightly curved, and he smiled sweetly. Lin Qijun said, I'll take it as you agreed. He leaned over and kissed him deeply. On the grass, the two said a lot of intimate words that only each other could hear, and received countless extremely sweet kisses. Time flies by like a mad horse, almost astonishingly fast. In the evening, the food that the driver bought had already been eaten, and both of them began to feel hungry. So they had to leave the grass and drive back to the city to eat. When they arrived at the Huasha Hotel, when they were led up to the second floor by the footman, they happened to meet Bai Xuelan on the stairs, surrounded by several officials, chatting and laughing and walking down. Xuan Huaifeng quickly turned his head to the side. But Lin Qijun beside him called out to Bai Xuelan, Xuelan. Bai Xuelan glanced at Lin Qijun, nodded with a smile, and said, I have a few friends here. I'll talk to you next time. He didn't even glance at Xuan Huaifeng, and went downstairs with those people. Even so, Xuan Huaifeng was still uncomfortable and felt as if he was being watched. When he left, he said to Lin Qijun, let's eat in another place. Lin Qijun asked strangely, why? Xuan Huaifeng said, I don't like it here. Pulling on Lin Qijun, he found another restaurant. After a meal, Xuan Huaifeng always felt that something bad was going to happen, and he didn't have the heart to joke with Lin Qijun at the dinner table. Back at Nian's house, he asked Lin Qijun to go back first and entered the gate by himself. Walking to the crescent gate of the small courtyard, he was about to return to his room when a loud bang suddenly shocked him. A huge vase flew out from the main room and smashed into the courtyard of the small courtyard, completely shattered. Xuan Huaifeng couldn't help but stop. Thank you for having the guts to say it. Xuan Dayun's sharp cry burst out from the main room. Nian, who doesn't know you're playing outside? Everyone has to live with it, no one pierces anyone. I endure it. You should be content. Okay, now that you are a director, you have money and power, and it is not enough to play with the rubbish outside, and you have to marry at home. I tell you. Your aunt dares to enter the door, and she goes in with a white knife, and comes out with a red knife. The quiet and distant sky above his head was completely pierced by her sharp voice. Xuan Huaifeng didn't want to intervene, and planned to go to the bedroom. Suddenly, he remembered the last quarrel. Xuan Dayun received a slap in the face of Nian Liangfu, and after all, he couldn't rest assured, so he changed direction and walked into the yard. In the main room, Xuan Dayun's crying and Nian Liangfu's scolding continued, and there was a sudden bang. As if someone had made a big fire, and even the furniture in the room was knocked over. As soon as Xuan Huaifeng walked down the steps, the door was suddenly opened. And Nian Liangfu came out of the room with an angry face, just to meet Xuan Huaifeng head-on. Nian Liangfu didn't seem to expect him to be outside the door. He stagnates in a hurry. His shame is fleeting, and his anger deepens in a blink of an eye. Standing on the steps, he asks Xuan Huaifeng condescendingly, "In the middle of the night, you were sneaking around in my yard. What are you doing?" Xuan Huaifeng cared about his sister, and had no time to care about him, so he asked without a trace of expression on his face, "Why are you arguing? It's so late. Where is brother-in-law?" Nian Liangfu has been promoted to director. Recently, I saw that Director Pai was very indifferent to Xuan Huaifeng. He seemed to be reluctant to mention him in his conversations. He also plummeted, and immediately sneered at Xuan Huaifeng from his nose, tugging at the corners of his mouth without a smile. "Oh. Meddling in my own business? May I ask what kind of senior in the Nian family are you? Have you come to ask about my Nian family?" Xuan Huaifeng didn't expect him to be so domineering. His anger rushed to his lungs, but he came to persuade him, and he really got into a quarrel, but instead caused chaos for Xuan Dayan, so he had to hold back his anger and say, "Brother-in-law." Nian Liangfu instead intercepted his words, "Don't brother-in-law, the former brother-in-law is short. I have been taking advantage of this food and drink supply for too long. As I said, take 10% of your idle time and earn some. I am thankful for the money to support myself." Today's young people shout about freedom of character all day long, but eat free food in other people's homes all day long. What's the matter? Although I don't care about a little bit of rice, I'm raising a moth for the country. It doesn't make much sense. Right? Nian Liangfu and Xuan Dayan quarreled, and the old maid of Nian's house was alarmed, and I don't know how many people hid behind the wall to eavesdrop. He had such a sudden attack. And he didn't lose any face. Xuan Huaifeng was raised by the stars from a young age, and a very noble person suddenly trembled with shame and anger. "Nian Liangfu, don't take my brother for trouble." The window in the house was suddenly opened. Xuan Dayan stuck her head out, pushed the pot of rose on the windowsill, and smashed it under the porch. Pointing to the window, she pointed at Nian Liangfu and cursed, "He eats and lives with you, and he spends more money than you supply that little bitch who sings the opera. My brother Huaifeng said that he is your serious brother-in-law, and you are brother-in-law. Support him. What can't you say? Huaifeng eats 3 meals a day. How much can you eat? Don't think that I don't know. You are outside. Thousands of people smashing on that bitch. It's not soft at all. You're still a man." Nian Liangfu didn't show weakness. Turned around and pointed into the window. "Vixen. I was blind and married you back then. You look down on a whore who sings opera. You are not as good as others." Xuan Dayan's voice became sharper. "Nian Liangfu. The mountains and rivers meet. Don't bully our sister and brother so hard. Just wait and see." Nian Liangfu sneered. "Just because you two are unlucky? I'm waiting, sir." With a heavy snort, he swaggered away. When Xuan Dayan saw that he was really gone, she froze by the window and burst into tears. Xuan Huaifeng went into the room, stared blankly for a moment, then walked over and persuaded her in a low voice, "Sister, he's already gone out, and you're hurting yourself when you cry. So why bother yourself?" Xuan Dayan choked. "My heart was crushed by him. Do you still care about this body?" Xuan Huaifeng was not good at persuading her. The one who was crying bitterly in front of his eyes was his always strong sister, and he was even more at a loss. Seeing her tears like this, he felt a pain in his heart. Gritting his teeth, he stood beside her, unable to say a word. Xuan Dayan cried with all her strength for a long time. Her voice gradually became lower, sobbing and sobbing, while saying, "Huaifeng, my sister's life is hard. This is an example for you. You can believe anything in this life, just don't believe anything. Love, those are all deceptive words in books. I was deceived by love at the beginning. I picked a young and rich one, and I thought he was considerate to me, and I liked it myself. It must be 2 loves. Who would have guessed that when he becomes a broken official, he is about to play tricks on him and become a concubine? Is he still a person? Zhang Ma didn't dare to come in when the Nian family was quarreling. Dare to follow behind Xuan Huaifeng, go to the room, hide in the corner and shed tears with Xuan Dian. Seeing that Xuan Dian was crying better, Zhang Ma walked over, took a handkerchief to help Xuan Dian wipe her face. Wiped the moisture from her old face with one hand, and said in a choked voice, "My lady, this is the case. It's amazing. The actors are all transformed by goblins. They are more ruthless than snakes and scorpions. When they enter the house and become a concubine, they have the uncle to support her, and they don't want to harm you, a serious wife. You must think of a way to let the uncle die his heart." Xuan Dian said, "Is it so easy to make him give up?" He was so fascinated by that fox that he didn't even know his own name. "If I could persuade him, I wouldn't have quarreled with him." Zhang Ma said, "Don't be afraid, you still have a young master." "Don't you mean that he knows that young Master Pai? And that he is the uncle's boss? Please ask the young Master Pai to come forward. Forgive me, I don't dare to give the boss a face." Xuan Dian with a move in her heart. She raised her eyes to look at Xuan Huaifeng, only to find that her younger brother's face turned blue and white. She probably guessed that Xuan Huaifeng was a little embarrassed and didn't want to force him. She only said to Zhang Ma, "You don't understand these official affairs. Don't make up your mind." Xuan Huaifeng whispered, "Sister, I will definitely help you." Xuan Dian sighed, and only put her 5 slender fingers on her hand and shook it lightly. The next day, Xuan Huaifeng called Lin Mansion and asked Lin Qijun to come over. Lin Qijun came, went to the room, sat down side by side with Xuan Huaifeng, and asked him, "You are so anxious to find me, and you don't want to talk on the phone, what's the matter?" Xuan Huaifeng sighed softly, told him everything that happened last night. When Lin Qijun heard this, he frowned. "Sister Dian is a hero among women. I never expected to encounter such a person." Xuan Huaifeng asked, "Will you help my sister?" Lin Qijun said, "Of course you will. But this. How can an outsider me intervene in this kind of husband and wife business? Even if I speak, I have no position. Xuelan can play a role in it. Why don't I ask him to come forward?" Xuan Huaifeng immediately lowered his face. "Just because I didn't want to look for him, I invited you here. You are an outsider who has no position to speak. So why does he have a position?" Lin Qijun saw his cheeks tensed and his high nose stubborn and beautiful. He apologized with a smile, "It's my fault. Why did I forget that you had a fight with him and quarreled when we met? Then you agreed. How can I help? As long as you say, I will obey and do it." "Okay." Xuan Huaifeng originally came over when he saw him calling, and his mood improved a bit, but after hearing him open his mouth, he wanted to go to Bai Xuelan, and he felt uncomfortable again. Seeing Lin Qijun's apology, his face was still light, and he said, Look, things are coming step by step. You know a lot of people, and I want you to first check who your brother-in-law likes. Who came from? What kind of person? Is you trying to coax a little money, or is very ambitious?" Lin Qijun obliged to say, "This is easy. When I go back, I will do it immediately. Not only the whereabouts of the actor, but also the places where my brother-in-law usually goes in and out, as well as the friends you make. You might as well check it out. In the future, Sister Yun will negotiate with him. Maybe it's useful." He was so diligent, Xuan Huaifeng couldn't help but feel grateful, and felt that his attitude just now was a little too much. So he smiled at him, "Thank you." Lin Qijun couldn't help but get closer to him. Gentle, he said, "You and I. Why do you need to say thank you? Actually, there is one more thing that I want to ask you." Xuan Huaifeng asked strangely, "What do you have to ask me for?" Lin Qijun said, looking at your brother-in-law's behavior. You can imagine how difficult it is for you to live here. I know you are arrogant and don't want to live on me, but I can't stand seeing you being bullied by others for a long time. I beg you. Move out of Nian's house, don't be angry with your brother-in-law anymore. When it comes to accommodation, I can help you find a few good ones right away. It's up to you to choose. Xuan Huaifeng lowered his head and didn't speak for a long time. Lin Qijun said, why, can't you trust me? Xuan Huaifeng raised his face, looked at him, and said, actually, what my brother-in-law said also has his reasoning. A young man who lives on food, drink, and lodging. What a shame. I also want to move out, but I don't want to waste your money. I just want to ask you, is there any vacancy in your foreign firm? Arithmetic is my specialty, and I am fluent in English. If you are willing to hire me, I will have a salary. As soon as Lin Qijun took his hand and put it on his heart, he happily said, yes, there is. I am missing a branch manager who needs to understand both accounts and English. I have a headache and can't find anyone. Why I forgot you. In this case, I will officially issue an employment letter when I go back today. You pack up your things and wait for the car to pick you up tomorrow. This position also includes a residence. Although it is not luxurious, it is elegant. You don't even need to rent another place. The two of them said it well, and they were very happy. They sat on the edge of the bed, shoulder to shoulder, staring at each other, feeling a lively hope in their hearts. When Lin Qijun saw Xuan Huaifeng's pink lips pursed into a slight smile, he couldn't help but slowly approach him, knowing that he wanted to kiss himself. Xuan Huaifeng smiled, closed his eyes, and waited with his face raised. Suddenly, there was a sound of footsteps in the corridor outside, and the two were so frightened that they quickly separated. It turned out to be two little girls sparring outside. The two of them had a false alarm and did not dare to mess around in the New Year's house. They thought that after moving out tomorrow, the days of freedom would begin, so they were not in a hurry. We said a few whispers. Because Lin Qijun was busy with foreign affairs, he could only bid farewell to Xuan Huaifeng and left reluctantly. After Xuan Huaifeng waited for him to leave, he carefully packed up his things. He didn't have much luggage in the first place. Apart from a few clothes, there were only a few boxes of books. He put the clothes away first and put them in a small box. He was not busy with the books. He planned to leave the New Year's house tomorrow, and when he settled down, he would find someone to come and take the books away. Otherwise, if he packs up the books now, Zhang Mama will definitely find out. Zhang Mama will find out, and he will inevitably tell her sister. She knows that he is going to move out, and she will definitely come to persuade him again. This kind of thing, he really didn't want to disturb his sister again. When first settles down and takes her sister over to show her the clean house, he will surely feel relieved. Because of the agreement with Qijun, Xuan Huaifeng felt a lot more at ease. When eating at night, the corners of his lips could not help but lift up. When Zhang Mama saw it, it was a little strange and asked him, "Why is the young master so happy?" "So happy all night?" Xuan Huaifeng said. "No, you are wrong." Zhang Mama said. "Who am I wrong? I'm not mistaken about you, young master. There must be something to be happy about." Xuan Huaifeng didn't say anything. He had to guess by herself, thought for a while, and asked in a low voice, "Is it something from the uncle's side?" The young master came up with an idea. "It's over," Xuan Huaifeng said. "Don't worry, I've asked someone to come forward. First check the woman's background, know herself and her enemy. And naturally you can think of a way to deal with it." Zhang Mama laughed. That's right. The vixen is afraid of showing up. Find out the details. And it's not too late to deal with her." The poor lady is still bored in the room and refuses to come out to eat. I will see her later and tell her what the young master has done for her. Make her feel at ease. Xuan Huaifeng said, "Don't worry, we'll talk about it when things are done." After dinner, he went to the main room to comfort Xuan Dian and went to bed early. Early the next morning, as soon as he saw a little gray light on the window, he got up from the bed, put the small suitcase by the bed, dressed and waited. That feeling of anticipation was like running away. In his mind, this was probably an elopement. In this lifetime, only being with Qijun, listening to him and seeing his appearance. That is the happiest thing. Xuan Huaifeng waited while looking forward to it. The white light in the yard gradually disappeared, and the sky was dyed with red clouds. Soon, the sun jumped out of the red clouds. Xuan Huaifeng was a little uneasy, but he knew that he was too impatient. At sunrise, Lin Qijun might not have gotten up yet. He continued to wait. Zhang Mama came to ask him what he wanted for breakfast. Xuan Huaifeng didn't want her to find out about him, so he gently kicked the small box to the place covered by the hanging sheets. And said perfunctorily, "I had breakfast, and I opened it yesterday. I still have more than half of the pack of biscuits left, so when I woke up in the morning, I was too lazy to order breakfast. So I took the biscuits and ate it with water." Zhang Mama said that he didn't take care of his body, and went out. Xuan Huaifeng thought that Lin Qijun would come to pick him up soon. But unexpectedly, he waited for most of the morning. He gradually felt a little unlucky, but he was afraid that he would doubt his lover, so he just thought of reasons for Lin Qijun. Or to issue an employment letter, arrange accommodation, etc. It also takes time. Qijun has always been very considerate and thoughtful towards him, and will always show up after everything has been arranged. Xuan Huaifeng just sat and waited like this. He didn't even bother to stand up and pace, and waited until noon. When Zhang Mama came again, standing outside the window, and asked him what he wanted for lunch, Xuan Huaifeng opened the door and said softly, "I don't want to eat anything." His face was blue. He went over to the phone and made a call to the Lin mansion. A waiter in the Lin family answered the call. Seeing that he was looking for his young master, he politely asked, "Who are you?" Xuan Huaifeng said, "I am his classmate, my name is Xuan Huaifeng." The servant asked him to wait a moment. After a while, he came over and picked up the phone and said, "Our young master is not here. He is going out." Xuan Huaifeng asked, "Where is he going?" The servant said, "Young master's matter, we should be unclear as the messenger. It seems that we have gone far away. Sorry, I can't help you." Xuan Huaifeng wanted to ask again, but the messenger had already hung up the phone. He held the microphone and hung it up for a long time, and his mind was empty for a while. Zhang Mama saw him coming out of the room, and felt that his appearance was wrong. When she came over, he was standing beside the phone, and he was sullen. Zhang Mama was taken aback. "Little master, what's wrong with you? Your face is so white and white? Sit down and take a rest." When he came to his senses, he smiled sadly and said, "I'm fine. Don't make a fuss." Zhang Mama couldn't believe it. "How can you say it's so good?" "No, I'd better ask the young lady to come and have a look. You were sick a while ago. Why don't you relapse again?" Xuan Huaifeng held her back. "Sister is already upset enough. What are you doing to her?" "I'm hungry, Zhang Mama, you can get me something to eat and bring it to you." Come from the room. Cooking for Xuan Huaifeng was the most responsible thing for Zhang Mama. When Xuan Huaifeng said he was hungry, she stopped going to Xuan Dian and hurried to the kitchen to cook. Xuan Huaifeng walked back to the room slowly, closed the door, and sat on the bed. "I was stunned for a long time. And my eyes felt hot, as if something was about to drip. He couldn't help but get angry. Crying tears for such a thing is too useless. If you have the ability, why do you have to arrange work and get a car? Teaching as before and living in the Tongren Guild Hall is also good. While he was angry, he was vaguely afraid at the same time. The tears were dripping down, and I am afraid that anything unlucky will come true. He has also been rumored and knows what it's like to be wronged. Now that he has not seen Qijun himself, he should not doubt Qijun. He really didn't want to doubt it. Thinking like this, he simply stretched out his hand, twisted it hard on his thigh, gritted his teeth and said, "Don't cry. Don't cry." Unexpectedly, after twisting like this, the teardrops could no longer hang on the eyelashes, and they fell straight down with a tick.